we're gonna start now. So today we have Tongpak, who is from the Ao tribe in Nagaland, and he's gonna share his story with us. And yeah. All right, Tongpak, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Sri Ranjani. And then it's wonderful to be here for Fridays for Future, and I'm very happy to be here and grateful to all of you for giving the spot to an indigenous community or indigenous person to speak on environment and speak on issues that we are facing and we all are facing together. Before I continue with my subject or topic about listening to Changki, I would like to speak some gratitude in my dialect, in Changki, and I will just say it, and then I will translate it after I speak. Oi, sambalaruni, ningla aingri long na, ida ningla sungdungo ni Changki ningriya, naga ningriya chataba. Ida ningla na mabatamu nga yangi gano, idan film chatka, idan mazan ga ilatsla, nitsla was adamga, idan nina sambalaruda saimiro. Ina tokukta sani naga yaryo. Dere ida ningla dango alimago aingri long ida tamang dango samiro alima mazano. Alima mazan badawaza paba mazan bao. Mobung atsu aning ali namangza tsungramo. Ramtsungza tsungramo. Ila sudaga tert ali na dang tslaro. Ila damang adango. Baidang ma timiro ningla dango. Ni Changki ningyo, ni Tongpang Kumzuk alingyo. Okay, so that was quite long, I suppose, but what I really said was like, hey, my dear fellows, I'm really happy and grateful to be here in front of you, and the best part is like for you being thoughtful and then so kind to invite me, a fellow Naga from Changki village, in front of the audience, whole world. And then I'm very grateful for that. And I will do my best to share and give what I have. And another thing, as I continued, was I asked my viewers to understand that we must love this earth. We must love our planet, because the person who don't love the planet doesn't love himself or herself. The air that we breathe, the soil that we walk on, the sky that we see, the water that we drink is actually all God. In my traditions, olden traditions, we consider this all God. The spirits, everything had a spirit. So we are part of God. We are part of this earth. Please understand that. So that's how we are connected. That's what I said to the audience. And then I believe some of you will agree. And then if you disagree, please apologize. What do we know about indigenous communities, or what do you understand by the word tribal? When I say who is a Naga, what's the first impression that comes in your mind? For other Indians, or for other country members, or for the Myanmar people? What comes? Like, for example, when I ask you a question, what's the first image that comes when I say tribal? Do you see some leaves, or do you see Tarzan, or do you see Mowgli, or do you see some wild Hollywood or Bollywood movie where they depict some tribal communities in the jungle and forest? What do you see? What do you feel? Are you afraid? Are you worried? Or you feel very superior. Oh, depends. What's your feeling? And all this, why am I asking this? Is because we have been wired, we have been told, we have been shared stories, we have been hearing and reading and watching everything since our childhood, school days, in the families. And then whenever we talk about tribal communities or indigenous communities, we look at them at a very different view. What view? To me, I say because of the simple and then the isolated type of living and different culture, we look at it from a different view. And then difference is not accepted everywhere. Historically said, historically, I would like to say, I would not say it's because Tongpang said it or Tongpang Kumzuk is saying it now. Historically, it's proven. Differences and then different thoughts, views, ideologies are not accepted that easily. Um, uh, as we go on, I would like to talk about Changki, like how Changki people are living, how Changki people think, used to think, because now we have been in connection with the modern society, modern world, and then a lot of things have happened, even in Changki. And then Changki belongs to a tribe, our tribe. And then our tribe belongs to the whole collection of tribes, the Naga. Naga is a whole community of tribes. For example, where are the Nagas found? Where are the Nagas found? So, of course, they are on Earth. And then we have two hands, two legs, and basically all like we are all human beings. So we have the same thing, just that our culture and we are mostly found in the northeastern, extreme northeastern part of India, bordering Myanmar. That's how we say it nowadays because we are that's a political division, and then that's how we can say it. And then we are neighboring to Arunachal, Assam, and Manipur. But the Nagas are not only in the state of Nagaland. Actually, there are tribes scattered in Arunachal Pradesh, 2 or 3 tribes, and then in Assam, 2 or 3 tribes, Manipur, 2 or 3 tribes, and a couple of dozen of tribes in Myanmar. How did that happen? And to think of it, why are the Naga people so scared? Are they so stupid? They're living so far off, or do they want to expand? Basically, communities were divided without consent. Some of the communities, and our communities were one of them. Like there was no uh, proper formation, proper agreement between the people. When nations were formed, for example, India got independence 47, Myanmar 48. So what happened? These nations were quite big. Naga communities are just tribal, they're small. So they divided among themselves. And then thus the communities got separated. And then even in the States, some communities were outside, but they made it a cutoff, geographical pattern, just a river flowing. So you say, oh, this side is all Nagas, this side is all this side. So basically, human beings have not looked deeper and have not been mindful enough. They have just divided it as they want. So why am I going through that? So this is a background I'm laying down. I'm laying down a background because Changki village is actually very close to Assam border, just 30 kilometers away. And we do face a lot of problems, a lot of border issues, and then a lot of stigmas too. Where shall I begin? So when you think of Changki is a very sustainable, very self-sufficient village as all the other Naga villages. Why I call that? I call that because Changki has farms, Changki has a river, Changki has their traditional knowledge of gathering food. planting, growing things, and then they have their own culture of weaving, clothing. For example, actually this is a modern wear, but the imprints are all made by hand, and then the dye is natural dye. We don't use the chemicals. We have our natural dye, and so a lot of things are there. A lot of indigenous knowledge saved in villages, and then Changki also has that. Changki people, actually, Changki was formed by a group of clans. And then, for example, the 4 pioneer groups first established Changki in a peak. And then after that, later on, there were 2 more waves of clans, different clans. Totally, we are 14 clans presently. And one of the clans is no more, in a sense, like no more in a sense, like we are patriarchal in nature. Changki people are patriarchal in nature. So we carry the surnames of our male fathers. And so that particular clan had no more male offsprings. So the clan just disappeared now. So eventually that happens. So we are 13 total. And then we have a unique administration system, very different from the new modern government system. That is an indigenous court and indigenous, what you call it, indigenous system. So that system is very close connected with nature. And that system is very close connected with community life. And that system is totally not related with any money or fiscal things. But the government system, or that system, is totally a rule-bound system, totally strict authoritarian, and then like it's like this, like pyramid, it goes. And on top of that, it's totally depending on fiscal money. No government officers will work in government office if there is no money or no salary. So they are dependent on something. And then I'm not comparing that which is good or which is bad. Both of them has their drawbacks. Both of them have good things. There are many government systems which run very smoothly and very good if properly used, properly worked. And there are many, and then right now, presently, a lot of indigenous systems are collapsing because there are 2 systems, and 2 systems cannot go on together. That's where Changki is crashing. Changki is struggling to carry out 2 systems in one house. It's like your father has one rule, your mom has one rule. It's like your mom says, eat with your left hand, your dad says, eat with your right hand. Now what are you going to do? If your mom is stronger than your dad, you would pretty much follow your mom, because your mom might smack you on the face or on the butt pretty hard. But in fact, the real life situation is quite similar. Maybe they won't smack you, they won't hit you, but they will make you dependent psychologically, emotionally, and by any different means, a pressure, and that's called oppression, I would say. I would not talk much, but I would like to show some slides. I want to show something about Changki. Well, yep. Okay, I gave a question mark on what is Changki. So, is that Changki? Well, that says Changki, but this is Changki. This is the village. This is the Changki gate. This is my village. So we tribal communities, Changki normally has a gate, but has no walls. Very interesting. Very good point to think about and ponder and ask the locals out there. Why do we not have walls? We have a gate, but no walls and no doors. Why? And then as we go higher, we see more mountains, more greenery. We are quite blessed with greenery. And this is Changki. This is quite old. This is Changki during the 90s, late 90s. You see straw huts, and There's on the top, there's a church and graveyard out here. This is the modern Changki. This is taken last year from the tower. There's a tower, and then we took the picture from there. And then you can see most of the houses have converted into tin sheets, metal sheets. So this is another breathtaking view. Not we can get it like all the Changkians know about it, and they're like, there's nothing new about it. But there is something new about this for me, coming from an urban place. I don't get to see clouds under my feet or clouds under me. So basically, the Changki people live very close with the nature. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate which one is house or where is the house. Or so we are quite sustainable. I told you earlier, because mostly we use natural things to build our houses, to our utensils, to our, of course, food is organic, of course, natural, and to our clothings. But we are having a challenge. We are having a challenge because of this globalization. A lot of plastic materials are coming in to the shops and markets. Not that the Changki people are desiring for plastic, but the food packets, the packaging, or the polythene bags, these are being supplied, and these are made easily accessible to everyone. So we face a lot of challenges like that. So here in this slide, I totally listed out 4 pioneer clans. We are 14, but now 13. Changki is dynamic village or a living village. Yeah, I missed that point. Why did I say living village? Well, I don't know about the other Naga villages, but as far as I know about Changki village, the identity of Changki develops and grows. So the thing is, like, it's a living village. Its dialect also changes. The tune changes, the culture changes, the people change. It's very basic nature. All the societies change, and Changki is also changing as its own change, a progressive change, or destructive change. We will see that later. So we have 3 different waves of groups of clans shaping the uniqueness of clan. Changki, what do you mean by uniqueness and shaping the uniqueness? In a sense, like, what clans means the family names that we carry. For example, I'm Alingri, so there are other, and then Sri Ranjani may be from another clan, another family name. So that's a clan, a bloodline. So there are 13 clans now, and then all these 13 clans bring in special qualities. For example, some of those clans are highly advanced in fishing and hunting. Some of these clans are highly advanced in making clothing or pottery, and some of them are very intellectual, wise, quite good leadership, good warriors. Basically, all these bring in the uniqueness of Changki because of these 3 waves of different groups coming in at different interval of time. I say that again, 3 waves of different group of clans coming in different period of time, and then from different directions. Directions matter because you bring in different dialect language, and then when you mix all 3, it becomes something new. That's why Changki has a unique dialect. We are from the Ao tribe, but we do not speak the common Ao, Chungli. Chungli is one of the dialect for the Ao, very major dialect. Almost 70% or 60% of the Aos speak Chungli. That's my assumption, okay? And then like Mongsan is the second, another one. Mongsan is also like around 40% of them speak Mongsan, or just say 39%, just to leave 1% for Changki. So the best part, and then I feel proud for being Changki, is like Changki is the only village which speaks Changkyu, and it is different, quite different from both of them. So we are privileged to have a secret language. And Changki has a unique administration system. Even in the Ao small tribe, where people are speaking Chungli, people are speaking Mongsen, it's like, imagine people are speaking English and Hindi. And then there's another language, English. English, okay. So the thing is like, this group of people have different grammar. It's like English uses different grammar, Hindi uses different grammar, but English is again different, totally different. It doesn't follow the grammar of this or this. So for example, this Naga tribe, my tribe follows certain set of rules, and then almost every villages follow the similar rules. But my village has an very unique thing, like very unique administration. These three separate waves of clans have their own separate tribal courts. This is very important. To run a nation, to run a group, you need a group of leaders, or you need a group of like a circle, administration circle. So Changki is one village, but we have three separate tribal courts. One village and three separate tribal. All three of them are very important. All three of them together run Changki. And then they are all under Changki, that Changki court, the main court. So, and then I said like, under umbrella court of elders. What do you mean by elders? In our tribal society, it's not very savage, or like, oh, anyone with the muscles or Hercules, or like anyone like Bhim, or let me just quote someone in the Bollywood movies, like some heroes, or like someone just showing up like with God's strength and God's speed becomes the chief or the elder or decides everything. No, that's just in the movies. Chunky people believe in the age system. Just like many of the other Naga groups, Chunky groups believe in the age system. Why? There's a good reason. Because we have distributed different sets of age to learn different sort of things in life. They have different responsibilities. So means like we separate them with 3 years of gap. So every 3 years, I'll give my example. Imagine I'm the beginner. I'm in class 1. I will stay in class 1 for 3 years till I learn whatever role is given to me in class 1 properly. Then after 3 years, like it or not, learned it or not, you are going to progress. And then you are going to learn it, because it's not just a visual and hearing type of class. Chunky education system is very advanced, to say. We don't have the LCD projectors, or we don't have the privilege of showing video things, but we have the privilege of showing the real things in nature, real activity, where the person is able to do, a child is able to do self. That builds the child's confidence. That builds the child the caring, love, and support to grow as a human. So these were the benefits of our education system. We are practical, and then mistakes were part of learning, because no one is perfect. And then we always did it in a group. So I'm in class 1. So with me, for example, Sri Ranjani is with me in class 1. And then so are the viewers. We all do it together. We learn it together. And then we progress after 3 years together. Everything is together. But again, in together, you learn for yourself too. So that was the concept. And then every 3 years you promote. So the elders, there's a certain age group where you reach the elders. There's a name called Saman, and then after that, Nokimong and all. These are quite elder village. They will be around 60s or 50s. By the age of 50s or 60s, you reach that stage. And then like they make a lot of administrative decisions, but they don't control the village. Again, the funny thing, these tribal courts, whatever decision they make, they do not control the people, the villagers. It's interesting. For example, I'm in India. Whatever the government makes, I have to follow. After I vote for a minister, I vote for an MLA. Like in any other nations, whoever you vote for, that guy gets the power and then makes a decision. But in this, the elders, go through age, and then after reaching that age also, even if they want to make a decision, they cannot forward it until they go to the last point, Mongtang. There's a term called Mongtang down there. I termed it a unique system. It's a very democratic system. Mongtang is a like Mongtang means a group of people, like Mongtang, a collection of people, and then like people come, all the tribes, like all the. Unfortunately, in this system, only the males come. This is the patriarchal system, so all the males come from the village, from different clans. They all come, all the 13, 14 clans. They come, gather in the village in a certain point, and then the elders share their decision. This is what we want to do. This is what we decided. Do you have any issue with that, or do you have any better suggestion to that? Everything is on the spot, and then from the clans they can speak. Different groups of people are there. They're sitting with their own clans, they're sitting with their own age group, they're sitting with their own friends and family. If they have a other option, or if they have something to disagree on, they can raise their hand and they can disagree. And once a disagreement is made, and then he gains support, or like, then the procedure is stopped. And then it's simple as that. Nothing goes beyond that. Like everything should be collective. Everything is all together, inclusive. Well, that's the structure of Changki. And here I listed out 14 ranks that I was mentioning about class 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 14 ranks. We call it Hu Talamsa. Hu means age. Talamsa means division. So according to age, we have division. So the first one, every age has a role to play. For example, the first number 1 is the youngest and the lowest rank. Well, that is not a good way to say it, but in English, there's no other way I can find. That's the youngest division to say. They are young people by the age of like 18 to 20, or like till 22. Yeah. For example, wait. No, 22, 23, 24. Yeah. 3 age, 22, 23, 24. So those age group, young boys, even for women, they have different, but young boys especially are compulsory. They will go and they are basically the messengers. They're basically like the staff D in the modern society. They learn, they observe, they follow their seniors. Whatever their senior gives task, hey, to the Sungbori group, like Tongpang's group. Tongpang's group means it's not only Tongpang now. It's you too, Sri Ranjani, and then the viewers. All of you are with me in class 1 right now. So if they say, hey, Tongpang's group, or hey, Sri Ranjani's group, you have to go and collect water. So all of us have to go and collect water. Organize ourselves and collect water. Organize ourselves. That's a task. And then so as it goes, we Salmon number 8, Salmon Nozaba and Salmon Tazanba number 8 and number 9. They are the very important 5 stages, because Salmon Nozaba is the assistant of the like decision makers. Salmon is the decision where you can make vital decisions for the village, and you are having a good responsibility administration to look after the village age groups and people. Then as you go lower,
you have questions after this.
Okay, yes. So am I going too fast? Please let me know.
No. Okay, can anyone question the Mungdang decision? That's the question.
Oh, pardon me?
Can anyone question the Mungdang decision?
Well, the Mungdang is an event, actually. So after the Mungdang decision has been made, For example, we are all part of the Mungtang decision now. My viewers, please, you are all part of this Mungtang decision, and we made a decision, and all of us agreed to it. Then you want to disagree to it, that would be actually that is very much difficult to oppose now, because you were in the Mungtang, in the process of agreement, and then you said yes. So to say no again you would have to have a good reason, and you would have to convince this group of people. You have to convince the court of elders again. For example, you belong to a particular clan from so there are 3 waves of clans, like 3 clans here, 4 clans here, 5 clans here, just like so if you belong to one particular clan, so you have to convince the particular court first, then this court will take forward. So it is a process again. Nothing is like just in a snap of fingers we have to collectively work again. So it is a long process. So whenever Mungtang is held, it usually takes place for like 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 days, because in a Mungtang, it's not like this. Okay, I think I have to be more clear about this. In a Mungtang, what happens? The proceedings of Mungtang. The summon group will be sitting, the chairpersons will be sitting in the front, just like I'm sitting, Sri Ranjani is sitting in the like the host, and viewers will be out there. And then, so I as the chairperson will share, hey, today we are coming here for this and this program, this and this issue, this one we want to do. So now they will give a pause. This is a real proceeding. They will give a pause. They will give a quiet time, a meditative, digestive time, so that you can understand what issues I said as a chairperson. This is what really happens in our tribal court. So for a few minutes, like 10, 20 minutes, you will be given break. Some of you will go to washroom. Some of them will sit and discuss with friends. Some of them will just sit quiet and meditate on it, think on it. Then the elders from the clans are approached, and then like maybe they share. Then again, more discussion is gone. So I hope this is made a little clear, because after the discussions, again, the chairperson's duty, the summon's duty is to control the Mungtang. So I will always have a break. This our traditional system always has breaks in between everything, every decision. Like one decision we are talking about, we will have 2-3 breaks, so that we can think clearly about it and make a call. Yeah.
Okay, more questions about Mungdang.
Okay.
Can women attend and participate in the Mungdang?
Oh, thank you for asking that question. I'm fighting for that presently. And that means no. Till now, in my village, I would say, in my village, it has not been successful. Some of the villages in Naga tribes have been very progressive and have accepted women decision making in councils. But my village has not yet accepted that. But there's a good news. But our village has accepted to have a separate women council. For example, for women alone. I don't know how much power is exercised by the women. We need to look into it. But the thing is, like, the men said we cannot look after the women decisions, because, and then we don't want to mix with the gender. That's the ideology behind patriarchal ideology, typical patriarchal ideology. I'm not supportive of that, okay? But they said women need to have their own separate. So they have their own separate. The good news is they have their own separate Mungtang, and then they decide what they want to do and carry on with that. Yeah. And then they are supported by the chief elders of the village. Yeah.
Okay, your screen is frozen. Like, okay, now it's back. Okay, next.
Okay.
Another question is, okay, just some clarification. Is there more weight for elders or men to challenge or offer alternatives during the Mungdang, or does everyone feel equally capable of asking and challenging?
Oh, well, I applaud your question, and then it's a very valid question. First of all, okay, anyone at the age, whoever are in the WHO, I'm showing the WHO system here right now. Whoever have reached the WHO system and whoever are men at the certain age, whoever attending the meeting, Mungtang, are allowed to speak and share. And every one of them has equal power and right. Of course, some of them hesitate because, oh, they are more elder and experienced, but everyone can speak. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So with 1% of speakers in our Changki might not have a large number of speakers. How do many people know Changki? Do you see challenges in sustaining the language?
Well, if you let me continue, I'm going to come to that.
Okay, yeah.
So
That's what,
we
yeah.
will park your question, and then
Okay.
very good question. I'm very excited that you guys are asking very good questions. Good thinking.
Yeah.
So shall I continue, Sri Ranjani?
Yes, for sure.
So we have a. I was in this stage like Nokimongba, the 14th number in Who, the age system. Nokimongba is actually the retirement stage. You know, we traditionally have a retirement stage. See, we were like, this is a very hundreds of years old tradition system, and we have a retirement age. And that's the fascinating thing I learned about my culture, Changki. So, and then other villages do have this, but maybe in different age and different norms. So Nokimongba basically has different stage. Nokimongba 1, 2, 3, 4. The older you go, 1, 2, 3, 4 increases. And then it's like a pride. Oh, you're already retired in the who system, and then like you have a pride. And then their only duty, their only work is to share tales, folklores, and then like keep the fire alive in the village. So our Changki village actually had a place for Nokimong where the all this retired groups
It's breaking.
come
It's breaking.
in that certain spot. Okay.
Can you repeat
They
the
camp.
last sentence?
Okay. So this retired age group of people, they come and wait. Yeah, they come and then gather in one spot, and then they sit down, have tea, talk with each other, and they are like the people who receive messages. Like for example, earlier days we had no letters, no telephone calls. So there is a question like, how do people and how do villages communicate? So for communication, not only villages or some people who are hunting, for communication, if there is a danger, anything, Nokimon group, the last group, is the group of people who receive the messages and then give the orders to Sungpuri, the group 1, group 2, or group 3 to distribute it. So their duty is to receive messages and then keep the fire alive of the village. Yeah.
Okay, two questions. One is what skill do you learn in each level? And also what are the years next to each like there's like 1998 to 2000 or
Uh,
1986. So what do those mean?
well, I'll be very honest with you guys, okay? This is a pamphlet, this is a program. This is a Hutalamsa. We Changki always have every year a program. So I stole this pamphlet from a program. Uh, I would say borrow, not steal, because this pamphlet was mine, and then I just took the idea. So here they made it simple for the new generation to understand that which group you belong to. Now that's why I said in our team, confused generation of Nagas, because the new generation, new education system is not supporting the traditional system. It's not supporting the indigenous knowledge. It's not supporting, and it's not even valid for us. For example, learning about Mughals or learning about, for example, American curry or dishes or McDonald's in my village or Changki traditional village is actually useless. It's it's I don't know why I'm learning about McDonald's. So these are the things. For example, so we are deprived of our own knowledge, which is more richer and then which helps us sustain our communities and then environment. So to make it easier, our elders came up with a big plan. They said like, okay, the new generation are quite dumb. We need to let them know that which group do they belong to. So I hope I answered that question very well.
Yeah. With respect to skill.
Oh yeah, with respect to skill, um, this will actually take a very long time because every group has a lot of skills that they have to learn and attain, and a lot of some duties that they have to specifically carry out. So you see 14. I only mentioned one or two because
Yeah.
these were the very prominent and important ones.
Okay.
Maybe in future I would host another session for administration of this, how the chunky people learn through this age system, and then like what are the things they learn. So because
Yeah.
like if I just say like cutting wood and then that it doesn't make sense to you. I
Yeah.
have to be brief about it and then where they go, what they do. So, yeah. So
Okay.
shall I
You can move
continue?
forward. Yeah.
Yep, yep. uh, so I would like just like to finish the slides. You can just keep on collecting the questions
Okay.
because the
Yeah.
slides I want to finish, then maybe we will I would love to ask let you ask more questions.
Okay.
And so you see that's me in the front, and then my friends. um, so I am actually inviting people to understand village system, and then bringing my friends to understand what are we missing in this modern era. Because like we say this modern era can cure, we have medical facility, we have everything, education system, and everything lifestyle becomes easy, good. But there are a lot of still problems. There are a lot of suicides, there are a lot of wars, there are a lot of killings, there are a lot of discrimination, there are a lot of abuse, there are a lot of hurt. You said education and modern education makes life easier and better, but I don't see that. What are we missing? What are we forgetting? Or what are we even humans now? That's the question now. Are we even connected to this world? So we are trying to find out that. And then this is a typical way chunky people use to go to their farms. We have plain farms on the riverbeds, and then we have the steppe farming on the mountain. So this is, we are visiting a steppe farm. So that's a traditional hut, and then my gang is there, uh, enjoying the nature and then viewing how traditional chunky farm are. Yeah, some of my friends here, they are admiring the strength of the ladies, mothers who are carrying firewood. Don't judge the picture by saying like chunky people don't have gas or they don't have electricity or electric machine. They do have gas and all, but they still like their traditional way of cooking with firewood. And the thing is like the gas supply is not regular, and then power cuts are very high in Nagaland. These are some young children. Um, they are wearing traditional chunky dress, and then all the things are made of organic things, like the wool, the clothing, the white, the dye. Uh, but presently, the feathers on their head belongs to hornbill bird. That's the bird which we consider magical and mythical. And yeah, I will continue. Oh, that's me. So I'm wearing a like a vest, a modern chunky vest. It's a shawl. The imprints of the chunky people are there. Like the tiger, the elephant, and moon, the stars. Because the indigenous communities, as indigenous communities, we relate everything with life. We animate everything. For example, the moon is like our brother or friend. The star is like our sister or brother. And then like the tree is like my girlfriend or boyfriend or a friend. We relate everything, animals, tigers. And we also even have folklores and mythical beliefs that are mythical beliefs of what do you call it? In English, we call it werewolves or shapeshifters. So we do have such stories. And then these are the farms. One of my sister farming, schools in Changki. One day we are going to end up like this, and then we already started trying to replicate ourselves in the museum. We are doing pretty much good. And one of the elders speaking in a conference, traditional songs and stories, sharing. We are trying to keep it alive. We are trying very hard. And I want to take you to this map. This is an aerial view of Changki. You see Changki is on the top of the mountains, that white patch. And then down there, little no green part, that's the farmland of Changki. That is taken, this photo is taken 2016, just to show how environment has been affected in Changki. Now, just after 4 years, this is Changki again. So you see the white patches have increased quite a lot, sort of little maybe, but it's a lot. A lot of change has been there. The forest is being rapidly cut, the logging, the mining, and because of the mining, the soil is getting bad. Plants are not going around. You see a lot of patches on the northeastern side, like the northern side of Changki. The northern side of Changki, you see lot of patches, lot of cuts and all. These are all mining parts. Very sad life for the forest. Yeah. This is another view, tilted view. That's Changki. Yeah. So we live on the top, and we live on the top because we are afraid that somebody might come and try to invade us. Very, very funny and very unusual answer. Nagas have been good fighters, warriors, headhunters, but at the same time, with that tag comes a lot of enemies. And then a lot of people want the resources, the forests. Through the feudal days, through the kinglyhood times, kings and queens age, there were a lot of fights and clashes between the Nagas. And then they had to defend themselves living on the top of the hill. And then it was a very strategic position where other opponents could not come and we could fend off easily. So the Nagas have Changki also had a lot of resistance against the colonials, the British East India Company, who conquered all India, and then Myanmar too. And then Nagaland is in the middle of Myanmar in India. So, but the thing is, like, the British could not control the whole of Nagaland. That's a true fact. Yes, they defeated a lot of tribes. A lot of tribes were wounded, killed, and burned. A lot of villages were burned, and then there was a lot of what do you call misconduct. Can I know if I'm still on time?
Yeah. You can go on. There are 2 questions, but I can wait until the end.
Okay. I will just finish this one, and then after that, I'll let you ask the question. Okay. So the thing is, like, historically, all the indigenous communities have clashed and then interacted with the modern system or the Europeans, colonials, or any system, outsiders, in a very negative manner. The indigenous communities were butchered or killed or chased out or even enslaved, kept as slaves. So a lot of this happened in our village also. A lot of the communities tried to attack and then capture us. The colonials could not capture the whole of Nagaland, but the British colonials were on Changki. Yeah, Changki had to bow down to the colonials because they had good guns, they were well equipped, they had all Indian troops. But the British group, they made a pact with the Naga hills. This is during the colonial time of India. They made a pact that the British people would not engage with the hill tribes of Naga and then leave the Naga tribes alone in solidarity. That was a pact made, a decree and diplomacy made during those times. So tribal communities were not very far behind. We were very equally intelligent to make pacts and diplomacy. So that's happened, and then we were promised to like support the colonials during the World War II. This is a fact that many people, many different countries, colonial countries faced. Even India, many colonial countries were told that after World War II, they will be freed. They will be given their freedom. So Changki and Nagas were also told that, and many Nagas participated in World War II as part of Indian contingency. And then after World War II, what happened? India didn't get the freedom. They had to fight, struggle. Naga groups also had to go and struggle with the British separately, like with documents and political party. And what happened was like India got independence, Myanmar got independence, and then India was expanding, and then the tribal communities lost its voice again. So the fight continues for the tribal indigenous communities everywhere. So maybe I will take the question.
Okay. So the question is, how big are the villages? Like, how many people in each clan?
Interesting. Is that the question?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, as per 2011 census, okay, uh, there are hardly around 1,000 households in Changki. Changki is very not as big as you think. It's only one village, 1% of people speaking, so it's only around 1,000 households in Changki. It's as per 2011 census, and the population recorded that time was around 2,500 to be approx 2,486. The population is also not high because like most of the Changki men and then families migrated to other parts of district, for example Dimapur or the Kohima, capital of, because in the village they cannot sustain, they don't have jobs, they don't have the things, and then the new education system made us scholars. So once you study in a school, it's like your fate is sealed. So you are studying in a school, so you don't know any agricultural or other social system norms. You just have to follow what the school degree gets you. The school degree gets you jobs in companies, jobs in government sectors, job as office clerk, jobs, any job which is related to signing and then other finance things. So people had to move out. So the population is quite less in the village, maybe around 10,000 people, if I might say, but maybe more than that or two. And as far as clans are concerned, every clan has different population strength. Some clans, so this data will be with the clan elders. All these data are registered. Yes, it's a very good question. So I don't have the approximate data about how many clan members are there separately divided in the population, but I can say that who keeps the records of these clans, because every clan has an annual meeting. Wherever you are, if you are Changki, if I'm here, I'm from Alingri clan, so my name is registered, and then there is a copy that I'm an Alingri. So in Changki village, all the Alingris have annual meeting, and they know how many Alingris are there. Likewise, if they are in other district, those clans meet each other, and then they have a record. So we clans normally annually meet, so we have our record with our elders. Yeah.
Yeah. Serene, who's from the Kasi tribe, my throat, who's from the Kasi tribe in Meghalaya, she's saying, even the Khasis made a pact with the British as well, but I've always wondered how they communicated. So that's a good question. So how did they communicate to make these pacts?
Well, this is just what Tongpang is saying, okay? Not the historians. So as far as I'm concerned, the Naga Pact was made during the year with 1870s or 1870s. The British made the Naga bag during 1870s, if I'm not wrong. I read it somewhere and then I've lost the year, but it's during 1870s to 1880s. They made the pact, a treaty for the Naga Hills. This is specifically for Naga Hills. I'm not very sure about the Khasi or other parts of the northeastern region, but I'm very sure about my region. So during 1970s, they made the pact, and then like if the British colonials were there, my assumption is some of the parts of the Nagaland communities were already reached by missionaries. So a lot of missionaries were there during that time, trying to help give medicines to the tribal communities, teach the tribal communities, and then another goal of the missionaries to convert and then spread. I would say a good word, spread Christianity, like trying to educate. Like for example, this is a very common. This is not about abusing or targeting Christianity, but any society, every society is proud of their culture, and sometimes when their ego gets into their head, they think we are the best, and then you should learn our culture. So that happened during the colonial time, and then especially with the indigenous community, that has happened, and then it is recorded historically. So they look down on indigenous communities like, oh, they are just savages. They need to be trained. They need to be taught. They need to be saved. The term saved, they think that they are the hero. And then they term that these people need saving. So I believe that some of the people could speak English at that time. And then some of the missionaries, with the help of missionaries, and then because of the constant war, they just and the British people were quite advanced. They had good anthropologists and then good people who learned languages. Yeah, that's a good point to say. They have good journals and diaries, record books, and then they learned languages. So it's very clear the British were very smart and quite advanced in that point of view.
I'll ask the rest of the questions after you finish your presentation.
Well, it's very interesting to have the questions, yeah, but I will just continue and finish the slides.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know, Sri Ranjani, do you know about this? Oh, it's already written next to you. Do you know about T-Ao?
No.
Don't read it.
Okay. No, I don't know about him.
Okay. So do you know that? Okay. Do you know that Indian team has represented in football, in Olympics for football?
No.
You didn't know,
No.
right?
Like, yeah, I no, I'm not aware. Maybe, but I'm not aware.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, Indian team played in the Olympics. You know that?
No.
And they were pretty good. Because the now Baichung Budia and the other groups, Sunil Chetri and all, are doing very
Yeah.
good work, and then football is also improving. But
Yes.
we lost the gap, a generation for football,
Mhm.
and then like no one knows about football or hockey or other games. All is like cricket, six. So to be honest, the captain of the Indian first football team was from Changki village, Talimern Ao. So he's from our tribe, so he said Ao, Talimern Ao. He was the Indian national football team in 1948 London Summer Olympics.
Wow.
That is independent India. Okay. And then they played, most of them played barefoot. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
one fact.
Yeah, the only northeastern football team that I know of is Aswal FC.
Oh, cool. Aizawl is in
Yeah,
Mizoram.
I follow I League.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And so why am I showing again some maps? This is a part where I'm showing like little bit like for me it's not very encouraging actually, and then I am not against what has been done, but I'm just showing. You see there is a high school Changki pointed on there, and then just above that you see a patch of land, stretch of land, and then there is a helipad there. Okay, you see the helipad now. Well, Changki village also has a army base, Indian army base, and then it is very common in Nagaland that like Nagaland is highly militarized, like just like in parts of Kashmir. So though we are given the state of Nagaland, and then like though we are separated from everything like that, we have some drawbacks. Actually, there is a like lack of trust with the Indian government, not the Indian people, Indian government, and especially the military. And then they almost build everywhere, like every village, almost every village has an outpost, and Changki has one of the big outposts. And there is a helipad, not for the villagers, for the army. And it's quite disturbing to see, like in a peaceful village like Changki, which is not bordering to Myanmar, which is near to Assam. So we are the west of Nagaland, and then 30 kilometers from Assam. So we are having stationing army, Indian army, and then like it's not very fun to see daily when you wake up in the morning, armies patrolling around the village or everything. I understand it's their duty, but that is the scene that we are still living in. I understand during the peak of insurgency and then the separation movement of Nagaland and then the indigenous communities uprising, because of a lot of betrayals and a lot of mistrust with the government of India and then the colonials. We had a lot of wars, but that needs to be solved now. That needs to be resolved. We need to trust each other. But unfortunately, we still have the marks, the scars, and then which are not healed properly. So I'm coming to the end. Okay, what now? So we are facing with consumerism, the culture of consumer capitalism, because everyone is becoming individualistic because of the education system. Thanks to the education system, thank you very much, Donald Trump. You are the luckiest man. India has the workforce for you, all the industries and companies. We have everything for you. That's why we are struggling right now because of COVID virus. See,
Yeah.
and hate, a lot of hate around. For me, in Changki, the problem is like because of the wars, because of the issues, because of the mistrust. The hate is not direct, but the hate is psychological, inside, internalized. Even with the people, even with the army, or even with the communities around. There's a lot of war, and then still conflicts going on. And then these wars are becoming not these conflicts are becoming not only external with the government of India or political, but it's becoming internal also, because of the state system. The state system is actually preventing the Nagas to think freely. It's enslaving actually. And then lot of religious structures and barriers. Religion, Christianity came, and then a lot of indigenous cultures were moved away, destroyed. Still there are some, but mostly it's destroyed. And after that, Christianity did a lot of good things, but now presently I would say it's stagnant. It's holding its own egos and holding its own objectives, like any other major religion, not only Christianity, any other major religion, religious group, when they become very fundamentalistic. The corruption is rampant because the society became all about money. The government rules, the politicians, everything became about money. When it was not about money, it was about community life. There was no corruption because everything was all based on sharing. Everything was all based on helping. Everything was all based on free giving. But that culture has been, thanks to the education system, removed. We are taught how to earn money, how to live our lives, how to think about our family. No need to think about others' family because government is there, or because the community is looking after them. They have to think about themselves. So we are separating ourselves. That is the education, the modern education teaching us separation. There's no empathy, there's no compassion, there's no love, there's no education about those things. uh, uh, Wrong leaders. How can you get good leaders when they talk about economics only, when they see, oh, there's profit in it, there's loss in it, oh, those people are dying, but they don't contribute to the society? Leave it. These people are rich, they contribute a lot. Next election, this they will be handy. So this kind of leaders we have now. And then the last point, psychological issues. This is with sad regret, I would say everyone in this world is suffering with a lot of pain back in their head, a lot of hurt. And then in Nagaland, Changki, there is a lot of Changki has suffered as indigenous communities have suffered, and indigenous communities have a lot of things to heal. And then same for the same for the groups who the oppressors and then the oppressed, both have to go through this healing process. And then as a part of IFC member, and then compassionate team, I would say there is a saying, I mean to say, hurts not healed are transferred. So we need to think about our past. We need to know about our past. We need to heal that. We need to stop that chain from repeating, or else it gets transferred. How? It may not be direct to me to attacking the government officials or army. It may be indirectly in your family system too. The anger and rage will go to your own family. You might hurt your own son, child, wife, abuse your power, become alcoholic, drug addict. So these are the things that we must look at it. And the need of the hour. Oh yeah. Social emotional learning. Yay. Hooray. So we need to learn and understand our emotions. We need to be able to notice what we are going through. For example, I'm going through excitement. I should not go into my emotion and then get excited and talk about my girlfriend, my boyfriend, my love life, my money, or my things. We need to know, okay, I'm excited. So, but what am I doing now in the present moment? I have to be very aware, very mindful of what topic is going on. And then we must not run in emotions all the time. We must be able to discern what to do, what not to do in right time. Trauma and hurt healing, very important for our people. Indigenous awakening. So when I say indigenous awakening, doesn't mean that throw back all the modern things. I don't need the cell phone. I don't need the iPhone and laptops. I don't need internet connection. I don't need Sri Ranjani's support from Bangalore or from Canada, or I don't need the Western world. No, not that. Indigenous awakening is just to awaken the person in you, the person in you, the identity in you, the humanness in you, and then to understand yourself better, who you are, and what basis are you here for, like it. So yeah, that's it from my side.
Thank you.
Is there any questions?
A lot.
Oh,
Okay, so going back to the question of language, so with 1% of speakers in our Changki might not have a large number of speakers. How many people know Changki? Do you see challenges in sustaining the language?
Woo. Bullseye, man. Whoever is that, I just want you to know that that's a great question. I'm going to skip this screen now. Wait, I'm going to show my full page.
Yeah, you can.
So that's the thing I'm standing for. I'm fighting against, like a lot of English, a lot of major dialect, because 3 dialects. Changki is only 1 person. Like I'm saying, it may not be even 1 person now. Mongsan, so even in the district, we use the major dialects. Changki is 1 person. Nobody cares about 1 person. Even in maths, if you get 1 in 1 subject out of 100, you don't care. You say like, oh my God, I'm loser. But this 1 person matters actually. So I talk about this because we have a unique culture, unique language, dialect. We need to save it. And then a lot of youths are forgetting that they cannot speak. To be honest, they are not able to speak Changkyu fluently or not even understanding it. Only Changkyu pure speakers are present in the village right now. I repeat, only in the village. They are the pure root speakers. And then once they forget their dialect, Changkyu is history. Nobody would even remember. It's just like oblivion. Yeah.
Okay. What are the main festivals celebrated and what's the staple food?
Well, interesting. So Changki is indigenous Changki celebrates actually even me, I have not gone in deep into religious ceremonies because it's to be very clear, it's forbidden in Christian laws or like any major dominant religion to practice traditional indigenous culture. Many of them are forbidding it, but I'm not saying we should practice, but we should understand it and learn it. And then there are a lot of there were a lot of festivals. There were lots of procedures, especially during the agriculture season. And then there were a lot of ceremonies during the war. There are war dance, war cries, a lot of war. We had a lot of these things, and we had ceremonies for death to understand death. And then like after we are headhunters, so we have a lot of wars. And then just like any other civilization, we also killed, as human beings we killed each other. But the tribal communities of Changki, especially other Nagas also do, but I will say refer to Changki, after killing a person or anything, it's very bad to say, but we respect their body in a sense. Like it's very brutal to say, but we they normally those times they cut off their heads will be collected as trophies, kept nicely decorated. So and then like the bodies will be cremated with a ritual. A ritual will be, a burial will be given to the these things, to the dead. It's not like you are dumped or you are dead, I hate you, like no, it's not like that. Even for killing an animal, we have a ritual, prayer. And accidentally, if I kill a bird, there is a ritual in the indigenous. I saw my own grandmother, though she's converted to Christian, do that. I killed a chick when I was a kid. I was playing with it and I accidentally killed it. And then she was praying for the chick. And then I was wondering and like amazed, like, what is my grandma doing? So we have those kind of ceremonies. And then we have a lot to learn from them. How to respect life, how to respect death. Yeah.
About food, what's the staple food?
Well, we eat a lot of rice. We eat a lot of soup, and traditionally, we are very good in making fermented crab chutney. We will say chutney or spice, top chili, and we are very good in bamboo cooking. Almost all the Nagas do that, and then we are heavy non-vegetarians. Basically, we like to hunt because animals don't come usually to us, so that we can consume and get the energy. But we hunt and then like we fish. We have a lot of rivers. uh for me, I like I prefer chicken, the local chicken, not the poultry chicken from the farms. I like the local raised chicken. Chickens are very good for me.
Okay. So this question is, what impact did conversion to Christianity have on the tribe?
um to the tribe, it's a big thing. So I come to my village. The tribe one, maybe in another other sessions we can do, but in the village I would say, you saw the picture where the church was on top of the hill. I think some of you recollect. So that place was actually a sacred place for Naga rituals, the Changki rituals, as far as I'm told by the elders. So when Christianity came, they they demand the Christian, a new religion demands full loyalty. Every religion demands loyalty, and then like I will believe and then I will be your follower. So if you are the follower, you have to show what you have to do. So they demanded the removal of all the other, what they call is the pagan system, or the evil system. They considered everything evil now, whatever practices we did. So we had to get rid of everything, every ritual thing. All the shamans had to lose all their things. Maybe some of them got kicked out from the village also. I'm not pretty sure, but lot of drastic change, a lot of cultures we lost, especially the rituals, and then the belief of death, life, the nature connectivity. We still have the nature connectivity, but we lost a big deal of chunk of information. The rituals with the nature are the main thing, and then we lost it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So another question, what do you believe in, like religion, myths, and folklore?
Interesting. I believe in myself, first of all, myself as Naga and what I like and what I eat. Uh, of course, I believe in the. I don't believe totally in a Christian concept, though I am a Christian. I'm very much a Christian, but I believe I'm a very progressive Christian. What do I mean by progressive? I don't just read the text like, for example, Tongpang Tongpang walked on the river, and then like just believe it like, oh, Tongpang walked on the river. No, I think about it. What do you mean by it? It may be metaphorical. It may be like just you understand what you mean. Tongpang roars like a lion. It doesn't mean that Tongpang's voice is like a lion. It has some deeper meaning. So I feel myself as a progressive Christian, and then like I accept all the religions and traditions because ultimately I believe in the native Naga culture society of we are all one. Like the land and me are same. So if land and me are same, you and me are same. And then I believe in the Naga system, the Changki system of belief in the soil. Changki system actually believed in nature so much that they even promised to nature. They make promises to nature whenever they go to war. Whenever they want to promise something, make a promise, they say, "I speak in front of the land that I'm on and the skies who's watching over me." That's a typical in our dialect they say. And if there is a dispute, very land dispute or something amongst the people, and then the people are not able to decide like, oh, who's right, who's wrong, because there was no land documents or anything. Everybody believed in verbal, and then we believed each other with our verbs, a verbal communication. So only way to deal with that kind of situation was to make promise in front of the land earth. So we, the two persons, for example, Sri Anjani, you are demanding for a land from that part, and I am saying that's mine. And then the people are like trying to judge the elders are, but they don't remember whose land is it, for example. But they are like we are in midst of fighting, about to fight. So we pick up land from that particular land. We pick up some soil, and we eat it, little, just eat it, and then make a promise, like I promise that honestly say that claim that that is my land, and if anything shall happen, if I'm lying, let the earth take, let the earth uh, punish me as it wants. Like there's a promise, oath taken in front of the earth and then in front of the audience. And then there are stories that has been told to me that people normally die. So the person who's lying, they get sick or they die or they have ill fate omens. Yeah, those kind of belief. Yeah.
Okay. These are okay. I'll discuss the next. I'll say the next three questions. You can choose what you want to answer, and
Okay.
if you're interested, we could also have another session because there are a lot of questions. So this question is, can you tell us about your education if there's time and your journey of reconciling with the modern world perspective and indigenous Telema education systems and way of life? That's one question. And then the other question is, you have put up wrong leaders as one of the topics for discussion. So
Mhm.
what role can you play for the community in order to bring out better leaders at this point of time? And the last question is, how are things like child raising and cooking divided by men and women? Do men
Oh,
also participate in these activities?
how much time do I have, Siranjani? Just being
It
real.
um we can go on. It depends because this is a YouTube video. People can come back to it and watch. Um, do you guys, people in the chat box, comment if you're okay with us going on or if you prefer another session? Okay.
Um,
Do you
so
have time?
um, do you have time? I have yeah, I have quite ample of time. Actually, I'm stuck in quarantine in Bangkok,
Yeah.
so I think I'm doing a productive work here.
Yeah, because it's lagging. People have okay. They're saying go on. Okay, so go ahead.
So okay, I will
So
try
you want me
to.
to repeat the first question?
Yeah, the reconciliation thing.
Yeah, can you tell us about your education of this time and your journey of reconciling modern world perspectives in indigenous Hutalema education systems and ways of life?
The question is not very clear, right? It's a little vague. What do you mean by education at this moment or something? The first part of the question.
Okay, so basically about your education and your journey of and your journey of coming to terms with the modern world and the indigenous and your indigenous ways of life, so like the conflict
Yeah.
and how you up and your appreciation and your perspective for the who indigenous Hutalema education system.
Uh, Siranjani, is it okay that I say I will just go over all the three questions I understood about child raising and wrong leaders too, and then this
Okay.
particular question, I will go over all this in a like a broad manner, and then
Okay.
maybe if because like if you talk about reconciliation of the education system and everything wrong, and then child raising, I think this would go another session if I'm not
Yeah, yeah.
asking the journey of my journey of like reconciling with and understanding the system, and then like how what measures or what tools I used. So I would just go over it just a brief, okay?
Yeah, and like yeah, and if you want, we can plan one. I will talk to you about that later. But yeah, go on.
Okay, okay. Sriranjani, you are very nice. Thank you. So I would just say start with this, okay? Uh, what are Chankians not ashamed of? Chankians, Chunky people, Chankians not ashamed of. The present generation of Chankians, because of lot of confusion, lot of dilemma, uh, not understanding the roots properly, because of education gap, cultural gap, a lot of war and conflict in Nagaland. We are part of Nagaland, Naga community, so we were at war. So we are at discrimination too. We are people living in both sides of the country and then struggling. And at the same time, we are indigenous community. At the same time, though we are converted Christians, we are not first Christians. We are nature first ones are the nature ones. We are indigenous group, indigenous belief culture. So our religion is also minority, to be honest. Frankly speaking, everything is the lowest thing possible. In India, the caste system considers Dalit groups as low, but the indigenous communities are not even seen. The tribal forest dwellers are, I don't know how well they are considered, but I'm just raising a question. That's how we are. So everybody thinks that indigenous knowledge and indigenous world is um, like very low, very steep down. But I would say the world right now is suffering and then is in pain, is in agony, just because we wanted more. We were greedy. Just because we looked down on people, we looked down on communities, we spilled the blood. Yeah. So what are Chunkians not ashamed of? Exploiting nature for money. Right now, present Chunkians are very happy to exploit. You give me money, you take the trees, wood. They are free growing in the nature because lack of cultural and attachment to the nature. There's no bonding with the nature because they were raised in their village don't have good schools. Village have only till class 10, 8, and basically no good schooling, not very good schooling compared to the towns and cities. Everybody agrees that. The whole India will agree that villages don't have. Everybody parent wants to send them to the cities and private schools. Who wants to study in village government school? A village government school, and then in a war conflict zone. So so all the students study away from the forest, away from nature. There's no bond, there's no attachment, there's no memories with animals or birds or with the forest. The culture is dying, the education is lost. So we are okay to exploit nature for money. We are not ashamed of it now. Oh, those ancestors may have protected it and did it for a long time, but if we don't use it, we are stupid, they think, because money, they think that money is the center of the universe. Then staying unemployed in cities is better than staying in village. I don't know if everybody agrees on that, but my Changki people are like that. My people are like, they love to stay unemployed in the villages and to try to seek jobs or get a part-time job or anything, or just lay back, but they will not go back to their villages. Another thing for Changki people, we are not ashamed. So we wait for the government to provide some roles for them. This is the effect of government systems, authoritative systems. Like, we have become dependent to the government. We have become dependent to money, economy. If only more money comes, then only I do the work. That free giving, the free working for the nature, free attachment, the free working for the community system is slowly dying. And then joining or forming groups, destructive and which are not progressive, are very common for our Changki groups and then our Naga society. Why this kind of thinking is growing up? You can ask and check out many things. Corruption. Corruption. Why corruption? Following the politicians for money and alcohol. It includes all the institutions too. Religious or non-religious, NGOs or government, all the institutes are involved in it. Everybody thinks about money now. How to make money. Oh, the people are suffering. Start up an NGO and then get funds from the government and do for these people. Take some pictures of like villagers and then like post them on social media. The government officials just taking corruption. And then not upholding traditional laws and regulations, and then no honor to their Naga traditions. Nagas, we are traditional Nagas, traditional Changki people, we're very proud people. Why were we proud people? We were proud people because we knew how to survive. We knew how to live life. We were happy with what we had in the environment. We didn't need to go out like the colonials go out and go expeditors search for gold because we cannot eat gold. So we knew the basic lifestyle. We knew what is death, life. We had everything what we needed. We didn't need anything much. But this present generation are not taught of these things, not taught of contentment, house satisfaction, being mindful, being alert, being aware of what we need, what we don't need, being aware of not hurting others, and empathy, compassion. These are not taught now. So we don't uphold our laws too. It's not just the other outsiders. And Changkians are ashamed of something. Some things Changkians were not ashamed of, I shared. But now I'm going to share what are Changkians ashamed of now. Changkians are ashamed of farming and being a farmer, being a traditional Changkian. they are they are they are they are ashamed to live that free giving life. Like, for example, they are afraid of being a volunteer for the village or like living a traditional life for the village where you work for free. They're ashamed to say that I'm a Changkian, a traditional Changkian. Actually, they must be proud that they are doing so much for the community, environment, and the world. But the media and everything, they look down on them for saying, "Oh, you're so stupid. You're working for free. There's no money in it. How dumb can you be? People are earning so much by doing daily hajira or daily labor work, and then you are doing for free in a village, and then a lot of heavy work. What's that?" So this is considered stupidity. Free working is considered stupidity. So they're ashamed of that. They're ashamed of their tradition, wearing their traditional clothes, speaking Changki also. If I'm coming, they're afraid of speaking Changki also because Changki is a minority speaking language. So they think that speaking Changki makes us feel minority and vulnerable. Actually, I said Changki is a code word. Even James Bond can learn Changki and then save many lives. I believe that, but many people don't see that. And there are a lot of things like there are a lot of sacred things, traditional things, nature things which Changkians are ashamed of doing because they think modern life is all about technologies, more about how much gadgets you have, how much sneakers you have, how much dress you have. They don't like the simple living. They're ashamed of living simple life. And I would say it's simple. I would just come to the conclusion, like coming to the conclusion of this tree. It's very simple. The education system has failed. The typical education system, which said like we can do everything and then learn, understand everything, it has failed. Changki people, religious institutes in Changki are not working as it's supposed to work. Traditional system is falling apart and it's weak. It's not being supported by the new generation. The capitalistic or the governments don't support this kind of ideas, this kind of sustainable ideas. I don't know why, but they don't support this. And then once these systems fail, the tribal indigenous communities lose their roots and then their land. Once they lose this, and then once they lose the will to even protect the land and forest, I see it will be a disaster for all the people around the world.
Yeah.
And then the government's trying to control Changki. I'm talking only on my village, Changki. Yeah, they're trying to control. They want to establish. Everything is permission. Everything documented. Earlier, everything was free. We are like free people. The people who work and build their own house gets their own house. But now government, all that has regulations. Everybody is scrutinized, supervised, and seen. Even we have an army base for no reason. Changki people are not in war also. And they're oppressing the tribal system by telling us we are not good enough. You know where that comes from? The education system, the culture, the media, advertisements, the movies. When you go to the cities, they tell you are not good enough. You need to look more fairer. You need to look more handsome. You need to look taller. Your hair needs to be like this. Then you are good enough. You have to be good enough like them. You have to be like some Bollywood stars or like some netas. Like you have to wear this kind of dress. Like you are not good enough. They make you feel that you're low. So we are told we need to be like them. And then we are controlled by industrial. We are becoming colored workers for industrial and office work. And then modern system of slavery. That's what I would term. And then under the power of capitalists, money drives and controls everything in a way we see, we want, we do, we think. And then the moment we lose control of our thoughts and our decision making, we lose everything. We lose when we don't understand who and what we want to do and what we are. So that's what I want to say. That's what I want to say. Like we need to work on understanding people and then understanding our emotions, understanding our hurts, healing them, and then working compassionately towards everyone, not only the indigenous group of people, with other cultures, other communities. We need to be compassionate, more open, and then don't be swayed away by emotions. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tongpang. I'm gonna conclude here. We will have another session sometime before April ends on education and reconciliation and go into more detail. This is incredible. If you want to tell people how they can contact you or reach you if they want to or follow what you do.
Well, Facebook, Tongpang Kumzuk, Alengri. I hope you will share that in the YouTube thing, and then like maybe you can share my Facebook profile ID, and then you can support me in my venture. Like I am trying to boost education, so I have a project called Boosting Education in my Facebook page, Boosting Education, and I'm trying to enrich the deficient and then the missing points of our education system. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for watching. Every day at 7 p.m. we have different webinars. Tomorrow we have the story of the RA forest in Mumbai, and then on Monday we have a webinar on institutionalizing and de-academizing knowledge, which is again related to indigenous knowledge and traditional ecological knowledge. That's going to be by KB Jinnan. So yeah, follow Fridays for Future India on social media to stay updated about everything. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much, Tongpang.
Thank you.